All right, you guys, today what I was hoping to do was just put together a short video for you so you could see a review from class today on how to solve these same direction travel problems. Um, so when we're talking about same direction travel, what you're going to find is a problem that looks similar to this. Truck traveling at a rate of 45 miles per hour leaves the station at noon. 2 hours later, a train leaves the same station following the same route at a speed of 60 miles per hour. After how long will the train catch up to the truck? I always like to start by creating a table. So my table should show that we're looking at the truck and the train, and we're looking really at the rate, the time, and the distance for each of those. So I'm literally just going to pull from the problem. The truck is traveling at a rate of 45 miles per hour. The train is traveling at a rate of 60 miles per hour. The truck leaves the station at noon. Because it was the first variable given to me, I'm going to just call that t. And the train leaves an hour later. No, I'm sorry, 2 hours later. And so I'm going to call this t minus 2. Because the train leaves 2 hours later, it means that the train is traveling 2 hours less. We need to remember that distance is always equal to rate times time. So to fill in the distance part of the table, we're going to take the product of our rate and our time. So for the truck, the distance is 45t, and for the train, the distance is 60 rate times time, which is the quantity of t minus 2. Now I have enough information to take the information and turn it into an equation. In my equation, what I want to show is that the truck's distance is equal to the train's distance. I know that because they're traveling along the same track, starting in the same place, following the same route, and the question is asking when will the train catch up. So if you can picture a truck going along this route, 2 hours later a train leaves following the same route. What you can see is that their distance is equal. So the truck's distance I'm going to take directly from the table. 45t is the truck's distance. And the train's distance, we know, is 60 times the quantity of t minus 2. That gives me my equation. Now that I have the equation, I know that I can start simplifying. So we see parentheses. It tells us we're going to distribute. 45t is equal to 60t minus 120. I'm going to take 60t away from both sides to gather my variables on the same side, and I'm left with negative 15t is equal to negative 120. I'm going to divide both sides by 15, by negative 15 I should say, and now here's the math that I'm doing. How many times does 15 go into 120? And I believe that should be 8. Let me just check it. And it is. And so when I solve, I'm left with t equals 8. T, which remember represents the time of the truck, is 8. T minus 2 is going to be 6. So here's what I know. I know that t is the train. T is the truck. T minus 2 is the train. That's just going to help me for when I go back and answer the question at the end. All right? So we made a table. We set up and solved an equation. In our third step, we're going to go ahead and check it. And here's what I'm checking. What I want to see is when I multiply the truck's rate times time. So here's the truck's rate times its time of 8. Is it equal to the train's rate times time? I've already figured out that t minus 2 is 6. So when I check this, all I need to do is 60 times 6. I've already figured out that t minus 2 is 6. So I'm checking to see, is it true that 45 times 8 is equal to 60 times 6. 45 times 8 is 360. 60 times 6 is 360. So now I know that it checks, and now I'm ready to answer the question. So let's look really carefully at the question. After how long will the train catch up to the truck? If the truck travels For 8 hours, the question is asking how long will the train have traveled. We need to make sure that we're looking at the right variable. If the question is asking how long will the train have traveled, I need to make sure that I'm looking at this t minus 2. And the answer is the train will catch up in 6 hours. And that's how we solve these. We make a table, we write an equation, we solve the equation, we check the equation, and finally, we answer the question. Okay, that should be helpful for you. You can always look back to this when we are reviewing for the Chapter 2 test. All right, everybody, that's all I got for today. Thanks.